Today I am going to do a vlog specifically and only on long exposures. So hello and welcome to the next episode of my photography vlog, and today I am going to do a vlog specifically and only on long exposures. So I have come to the east coast of Cork. It's during the day, so the light is at its peak. There's no real nice light, but at the same point it is cloudy, so it is a grey day, and I'm going to focus today on just taking some extremely long shots. So I've got the Lee big stopper on, and that gives me 10 stops of additional exposure. So it'll allow me to do exposures up and above onwards from 30 seconds. And what that will do is will give me a very smooth water effect. It will keep the detail on the subject matter, and it will allow me as well then to kind of create more of a black and white image for what the day is today, because there is no colour as such. So I'm going to get set up and I'll check back in a moment and talk through how I'm taking the shot and why I'm using the equipment that I'm using. Okay, so you have the camera here and it is currently without any filters. So what I'm going to start off with first is this piece of equipment here, which is the Lee foundation kit, and that sits onto the ring at the front of the lens. And the next piece I'm going to introduce here is a piece of glass. It's called the Lee big stopper, and it gives you 10 stops of extra exposure. And what that allows you to do is get more light, or control the light more, I suppose, that you can actually have a much longer exposure, and it'll give you the smoothing effect on the water. So within the actual Lee holder, there are some grooves, so that will sit onto the foundation ring here. And then the Lee stopper has a piece of foam at the back here, which will allow it to seal so that there's no light can leak into the sensor when you've got the shutter open. So that will slide in here, and it's important that I just line that up correctly so that it does use that seal. And then the final piece that I'm going to use is a Lee 0.3 medium grad filter, just to allow the sky not to be overexposed, because I am going to do a long exposure, and that will sit directly in front of the big stopper. And then what I can do then from there is I can adjust that to make sure that the gradient is directly for the sky and not encroaching as well on the subject matter. So moving over now to the Slipway here, as you can see next to me, and the idea of this shot is again a very long exposure. I'm going to go for 60 seconds on this one, and what I've got to do is compose the shot so that the Slipway is leading into the distance. You've got the movement in the water, and it kind of then just fades into infinity and disappears out of the sight of the frame. So you've got some nice barnacles of seaweed there on the side of the Slipway itself, and that's going to give me the opportunity then to take that shot. So I'll crack on here, get a shot here, and what I'm going to do from here next is stand on top of that jetty and frame the shot. That again, similar to this, is that the jetty will take up the frame and then it will fade into the distance and the milky water as well in regards to that. Okay. So the next shot here now, I am on this jetty, and as you can see the water is coming in over the top of the jetty here, and the way I've got the shot framed is that I'm in a portrait mode because I don't want to get any distractions. I just want to have a very simple, clean and minimalist image, and hopefully I'll be able to get some of the movement of the water coming in over the top of the jetty, the detail on the jetty itself, and then obviously that leading into infinity as well, with some milky water as well on the end of that. So even on this jetty alone there's two opportunities for photos, and I do like the idea now that I'm thinking of it doing a long exposure because it is going to give that dreamy water effect. It will be minimalist as well, and when I convert that as well to black and white I should end up with a nice image. So I'll finish the shot here and then I'll move to some rocks next. So the final shot I'm going to take now is of rocks, and what I want to try and do again is keep with the minimalist approach and the long exposures. So I'm looking at these two rocks here in front of me, and whilst they're not on their own, they are kind of isolated, so it should deliver a minimalist shot. And I'm focusing on the rock itself, and I'm going to go for a 50-second exposure. Again, I still have the Lee Big Stopper and the 0.3 grad ND, and I'm having to frame the shot so that I don't get the rocks that are here in front of me, and I'm just getting the main focus that I want here, so not the eye isn't distracted by what I want to try and create within the frame itself. And I'm going to end up with sort of a leading line, because there's one small rock here in front, then you've got the big rock, and then there's a further one just outside of that as well, which should lead to a nice image. And I'm going to take a couple of different types of exposures here. I'm going to play around, like I say, for the long exposures. I'll try a couple of 30 seconds as well, and maybe I'll show those just to give you the difference of the example of that versus a ultra long exposure. But again, it will be a black and white image, and because of the way the sky is non-eventful, pretty much grey, and as you can see there's pretty much no movement in the water either, so it doesn't have much to do to smooth out the water itself, but it should give a nice shot. As the water now as well as receding, it's revealing more rocks, so I might wait for a moment and see if there's another composition that presents itself. Tide is on the way out, as I mentioned, but yeah, that's just another shot here from this location, again from a long exposure.